Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin, and I am one of the hosts of the upcoming queer retreat in Puerto Escondido, which is the first of many. And we're super excited about it. And we're excited to be recording this video for you. So, Erin, da, 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 da,
Hello.
our co-host, and I decided to do this video to answer your questions about the retreat because we've been getting quite a few questions. And we also wanted to explain in a little bit more depth why we decided to do this retreat and what we're both bringing to it and what you can expect if you're interested. And of course, we are open to answering any questions. So if watching this video sparks other questions for you, please feel free to reach out and we'll either do another video or we'll get in touch with you. Well, we'll probably get in touch with you anyways privately, but chances are if you have a question, somebody else is also wondering the same thing. So we like answering questions, so don't be shy. And so to get things started, I thought I would ask Erin a question that has been a really interesting one for me personally to sort of see the evolution. So Erin and I first met at a gigantic event in New York City called Forefront. And then Erin became my client, and then we worked together, then we became friends, but something else happened along the way for Erin, which is that Erin decided to come to one of my retreats in Mexico. And why this is an interesting point to bring up is that Erin was a self-proclaimed non-retreat person. Had never been to a retreat, had no interest in coming to a retreat, and then something changed. So I was wondering, Erin, if you could tell us a little bit about what changed for you.
Sure. So I was not just self-proclaimed, I was adamant that
You are not a retreat
I was
person.
not a retreat person. And I remember looking at your particular retreat and being like, oh, I'm a queer person. This is a bunch of women. I don't even fit here. Of course, I'm not going to this retreat. But something in me said, you're scared. This is something to run towards. And that's been a philosophy of mine for a little while now, is when I start feeling fear, it usually means that there's some sort of thing on the other side of that fear that I want. And so I realized I was really interested in slowing down a little bit, taking some time off, and pushing myself to be around a tribe of people that I wasn't sure if I fit in. And what was I've recorded a video about this very recently. I realized I didn't fit in, I belonged. And that is what shifted me so deeply into loving retreats, is that I met, 14 other strangers. And in the course of a week, I created these immense bonds with people who were from completely different walks of life, different experiences, and yet we all belonged together. And it was through the shared experiences we had, not just the adventures we went on or the yoga or the meditation, but some of the transformative experiences that really helped me see people in a way I had never seen them before, and have people see me in a way I had never been seen before. And now I've been to how many of your retreats? 3 or 4, and I'm coming back for another, and we're hosting. So clearly it has become one of the most transformational things I can do for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to bring that to other people, especially queer people who might be like me, saying, I don't fit in the typical retreat industry.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know that that's true, and it's something you and I have talked about before. And it's even true, as you said, when you kind of looked at my marketing materials, as a queer person, and certainly somebody who kind of identifies as non-binary, if you're looking at promo materials for a lot of retreats, they're pretty hetero leaning looking. and so that was something that I know was important to both of us. To design a retreat and create an experience specifically for queer folks, where we could, if you're watching this, go to the website, immediately feel a little more of that sense of belonging, because there is a big leap to make a decision to come like this. And another thing that we've talked about and we wanted to touch on a bit more in this video is, I know for some folks it's challenging to think about traveling to another country, a country that, or a place where you might not be sure about how you're going to be received and where there might be safety concerns. So the more you can feel supported and like there's a place for you from the beginning of even starting to think about making the decision, I think is really important. Mm-hmm. You said something else that I wanted to touch on, just around the transformation. And I know that, so both Erin and I, if you're watching this video, and if you don't know very much about us, we are both neurotransformational coaches. And so we've both had the opportunity to participate in trainings and events where, we became certified and received very in-depth training around neurotransformation. And then Erin has seen me as a facilitator lead group processes, and we're really excited to be able to do that together. And something that we've really both seen, and maybe Erin, you can speak to this a little bit more, is the immense, profound transformation that can happen if you want it to in a short amount of time when you're with a group of people and you're willing to show up, you're willing to take that risk, you're willing to kind of jump over the fear or through the fear, and what can happen on a personal level in terms of transformation in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, as you were talking about that, I was recalling at least two of the experiences I've been at where people showed up not really sure what they were getting themselves into. And
I think you're never really sure.
I'm never really sure.
Like, I don't even know exactly what's going to happen. And
some people
were the magic of it.
Were like, I'm just coming for yoga. I thought I was coming to a yoga retreat. Remember that was one person last year that said that. Yeah. And a couple days in, watching that person blossom, and watching her go deep and discover things about herself. And to this day, I know she's carried that week with her of, really looking at what does she want in this world. And she started off saying, I don't have anything I want. And then over the course of the week, you could see her just sort of a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And I think that's happened to everybody who I've seen at these retreats, is this, if you're kind of willing to open up to possibility, so much can come to you in the course of a week, especially when you're off the grid from, cell phones, right? We're taking a lot of time to be quiet. We're reflecting, we're journaling, we're speaking to others. Anything that you want to explore about yourself can happen. And for me, that happened at the first retreat. It was a really important moment for me in my physical journey. I was trying to decide at the time whether I wanted to have top surgery. And I remember using that week to really go deep. And by the end of the week, I had a decision. And it was a decision that was 10 years in the making, that all it took was some getting really quiet and clear and having the support of others around me to work through it to come to that point. So it's pretty amazing what you can do. It's amazing what I've seen happen in terms of transformation. It's amazing what I've felt in my physical body happen as the result of some of the workshops we've done. It's absolutely a life-altering thing, and you don't just go home and forget it. That's the wonderful thing about the neurotransformational side. Neurotransformation is really changing your body, your cells, and you don't just experience a retreat high, you go home different.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Caitlin.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this, right? So you've run so many retreats. You have so much experience. Why is this particular retreat experience important for you as a facilitator and as a queer person yourself?
Yeah. So such a good question. And I'm glad that you asked it in sort of a two-part way, because I definitely think that the answer is twofold, probably more than that. But so the first part for me around why, having run all these different retreats, speaking to a last retreat, you weren't at that one, but there was, so I'll give kind of an example. So we were in, and somebody else asked me this question recently, why a queer retreat? Queer, obviously, they were like, obviously you're open and like, welcoming of queer people at your retreats. So why a queer specific retreat?
Mm-hmm.
And I use this as an example when I was speaking with them as well, is that, so we were in a circle, kind of in a group talk situation, and a woman was sharing her story about coming out, 30 something years prior, and having a very, a very difficult and hurtful and traumatic response from her mother. And there was like a lot of empathy in the room, but I'd say, with the exception of her and myself, well, not that I had that experience with my mom. I don't want to say that in case my mom is watching, but there was a lot of like empathy of the challenges around coming out, but not shared experience. And it really struck home for me in that moment. And everybody in that room was amazing and supportive towards this woman sharing her story. But there's a difference, I think, sometimes between like, oh, that must have been so hard for you, versus, oh, yes, me too, and thank you for sharing that experience, because now I feel like I can share mine, and we can heal together, whether that be a coming out story, whether that be other challenges that we face as queer people. I think there's something so profound that happens when we come together and we have shared experience, and that's something that unifies us and unites us, and it's it gives us a different starting place, and in a way we can actually kind of go deeper together, because we probably, even though we're coming from, you and I are very different, but we also have things that we share. And I think everybody that's going to come to the retreat, it will be similar, different places in the world, different life experiences, different gender expressions, lots of differences, but we will also have lots of similarities. And those similarities are what really allows us to go to a really, really incredible place, I think, when we're doing this sort of work and journeying together. And so it was something that I thought about. You and I had already talked about it. But that particular moment just really brought it home for me in a different way, and made me really excited for what kind of conversations we can have when we have that kind of shared experience, that shared starting place in a way. For me personally, I've been living in Mexico now almost full time for going on almost like 8.5 years. It'll be 9 years at the end of this year. And I can't, like I say that, I can't quite believe it. It feels like it's gone by really quickly. But I've been spending a lot of time in Mexico for my whole life. And I've seen even, the first time I was openly with a woman in Mexico was now probably, I don't know, I was 21. So like more than 15 years ago, around 15 years ago, 16 years ago. And so if I look at that history, things have changed quite significantly in Puerto. It's a lot more of an open place. It's a lot more progressive, very welcoming. And I know, Ian, we can speak a little bit more to this. I know you felt really safe there. You were also there with your wife. We went out together, one of my favorite moments recently was last year, about a year ago, being out at a club that used to be a really straight venue, and seeing a group of young, incredibly diverse, some very queer, what would it be, preparatoria, early college graduates, dominate the dance floor, including one young man who was wearing a very fitted tux, kind of fitted pants and really high heels. And I remember thinking, wow, we've come so far and this place is so amazing. That being said, I personally miss queer community sometimes. So it's a lot more of an accepting place. I know you've had the experience of going out and being in a straight venue and watching two men dance together and receive love and applause from the crowd. Mm-hmm. And they were dancing salsa together. But that's a little bit different for me. I love that. But I also sometimes I miss community. It's not a very big place. It's a small town. And one of the reasons why when I love coming back to Canada and and when I travel and I go to other places, being around queer community is really important for me. And so, for my own very personal, I don't like it when people say for my own selfish reasons, because I don't actually feel like it's selfish at all. It's like a really legitimate, valid need. But I'm excited to bring community for me to Puerto, and hopefully to be able to do this more often, because I also can go, it's the same thing. I feel relaxed even more. I feel seen in a different way. I feel invisible a lot of the time there, and invisible, at least with regarding to my sexuality. And it is what it is, but it's really nice to be in a group of people again who see and understand you in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to bring.
So is it February yet or March?
I know, like,
come on.
Counting down.
Yeah.
And I'll say a little bit about my experience, because you
Mm-hmm.
touched on it in Puerto. I have never felt so safe in a foreign country. And it's something I have to think about everywhere I go, because I'm masculine presenting. I don't have a chest anymore that proves that I'm female when I walk into a restroom. And in fact, even in most places in Mexico, I have to tell people that I'm allowed in the restroom I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about the vibe in Puerto, the friendliness of people, the openness, that I never once felt unsafe in town. And I've explored so much of my own expression of my gender there, and to the point where I remember last year we were out releasing turtles, and I didn't even realize that I was wearing a tank top that was quite obvious that I don't have a chest.
Yeah.
And I think it was the first time I thought I wasn't thinking about it. It wasn't even a consideration of mine of, what do I wear? Is this safe? Is this not? It feels so homey there. And I have no doubt in my mind that anyone who comes to Puerto is going to feel that exact same sense of being welcome, being included. And everybody's kind of just doing their own thing in a nice way. And everybody's really hospitable. Mm-hmm. And it'll be even better at Casa Naya, where we're going to have the retreat, is to have not only people who are, okay with us, but like they've said to you particularly, right, that they're excited for this community to come. They're welcoming us to their property. So I think that's a really special thing. And, I hope we get to run multiple retreats in Puerto, and I hope it becomes just as special to me, or special to others, as it is to me, because it's a place that I know I'm going to be coming back to my whole life.
Yeah, we're going to make that happen for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and just to speak a little bit to Casa Naya, so you talked a little bit about town, and I've kind of referenced town as well, and sort of what it's like to be out in public. But Casa Naya is an incredible venue, and it's a property. I don't actually know the exact dimensions of it, but it's big and it's private. So it's in front of the ocean, and there's the grass and kind of like lawns and gardens and hammocks and a pool, but it feels very protected, and like there's no neighbors looking in, and the staff and the owners of the place are, as you said, really, really excited that we're coming. They asked me specifically about, who are the folks that are coming for your retreat, and what are they like, and what kind of an experience you're creating. And they were really, really excited about that as well. But it's just I'm so excited too, because I feel like it's a really unique environment. It was built as a family home, and then it got expanded on a little bit once they started using it as a retreat center. But just the combination of the privacy, how secluded it is, how it's right in front of the ocean, how there's sort of this variety of, you can be in the house, you can be in a hammock, you can be under the palapa, you can be in the shade under the palm trees, you can go for a walk down an incredibly private beach as well. So just to be in an environment as well with each other, or even by yourself, because there's definitely time to be by yourself as well, where again, we want everybody to experience what Erin and I have both experienced at retreats, which is when you do just feel like you can feel your body relax. You know that you're taken care of. You know that you're safe. You know that you're being nurtured. You don't have to worry about what you're going to eat for your next meal because there's just a chef making incredible food for you. And you can just, you will feel tension melt away. You will feel yourself embody and inhabit your body in a different way. And that's so important. And so many folks, for so many different reasons, don't get that nearly enough. And so we want you to be able to have that experience and kind of have a different experience of yourself. And we were just chatting about this before the video, have some amazing people who are going to be supporting us on the retreat, who also might be offering things like body work, different kinds of healing work. And so if that's something that you are open to, and I know, Erin, you had a really positive experience around that with a massage therapist who works with us and some of the other retreats that I do. So, treating your body and getting your body taken care of also in a maybe a different way than what you have access to back home.
Yeah, I was, as you were talking, was thinking about all the food that has been part of my experience of Puerto, and just thinking about, the nourishment that you'll get from slowing down, from the amazing food, from whatever body movement work that Caitlin and I bring and others bring. It's unparalleled. And I'm sitting here going, I can't wait to experience that again for myself at one of your other retreats before, because I will be coming in to our queer retreat having gone through a week of that experience myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I think that's you just touched on something that I think is important as well, is that we both have been retreat participants as well as leaders. So you just mentioned you're going to be coming to Lucier, which is one of the other retreats that I lead. And I also have been at retreats, and also, both kind of personal transformation retreats, but also training retreats and things like that. And so I think it does help as well that you and I have both been participants, and also so it helps us inform the experience that we want to be able to create. And that also we really understand the value of experiences like that, which is part of why we want to create them, because we create the things that we know that we want to participate in. And there was we didn't really know of anything like this, which was a bit of why queer retreats came to fruition, is because it's something that neither of us had really seen happening in other places, or at least that we were aware of.
Yeah. And I think the group that comes to this particular one, this first one, is going to be so special because they're going to get to experience what we have imagined. And then they get to give us feedback on what would they like more of? What would they like less of? And so it's going to be the foundation for what we do going forward. So that, to me, seems like a really special opportunity for the group that comes together.
Yes. So for you watching this, we want you to be part of our inaugural group. It's going to be really, really amazing. It's going to be incredible. It's magical. It really is. I have so much faith in the chemistry. And this is what I meant when I said earlier that I didn't know what was going to happen, because Erin and I can think of all of the details, which we will, and plan out the experience. And there's certain aspects that we know, what we offer in the venue and the activities and the excursions. But so much of what is so incredible and magical about retreats is who comes, and the unique chemistry between every single person, and the dynamic, what happens when we're all kind of like these ingredients that get mixed together. And so we don't know what the outcome exactly is going to be. And that's part of what is so beautiful and so exciting about this work, because it really is about who comes and what each and every single one of you brings and who you are. And so that's for me, that's the unknown bit, and also the magical bit. And one of the parts that I'm so excited about is to see who's all coming, and then to see what happens with us all together.
Yeah, and what happens afterwards, right? Because
Exactly.
the magic of these bonds is indescribable, and naturally, some people will find friends for life.
Yeah. Well, I think we've
Awesome.
covered
Yep.
a lot,
Right.
and we can do this again. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you have more questions and you want to let us know, please get in touch with us right away. Spots are filling up, and we do have really amazing pricing and also payment plans available. So the sooner you sign up, the more extended you can have a long payment plan, which is really accessible. And the dates for the retreat are March 4th to 8th. 2020. So it feels like a long way away, but it's really going to come quickly. And again, the sooner you sign up and pay your deposit, then we can arrange a really accessible payment plan for you. So please do get in touch. Please ask us questions if you have more questions, and we can record another video, but we'll also reach out to you privately. If you let's say that you're somebody watching this video because you know Erin, but you have more questions for me, please reach out. Erin can put you in touch with me, or you can put my info beneath this video, and vice versa.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No questions are too small or dumb. We're willing to answer anything to make sure people feel safe and comfortable if they want to come.
Yeah, because we have both. I live in Puerto, and Erin's been there now 4 times, 3 times going up. I can't remember.
I don't know.
But
Lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
And so there might be things we're just forgetting, that we haven't mentioned, that might seem obvious to us because we've been there. We do the airports, we do all all that stuff. So please do ask us any question, and we want to make sure that we're not forgetting any details that would be useful for you. And I think that this video is probably long enough for right now, so we'll wrap it up. And we can't wait to hear from you, and hopefully see you in Mexico in March.
Awesome.